Morning everyone, welcome to this first part in a 4-video series over the course of a month. And the brief, practical, concise version of the Practical Bio-Wellness Rebirth Protocol, with which you'll be able to either fully cure or 90% improve your life quality for any chronic illness. Whether it's mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, whether you need to rediscover your passions or inspiration, whether you're in creative stagnation or you're in physical pain, the deep disinflammation and raising pH and accelerated detox that can only be compared to a full-on retreat of a month or two, but which you can do in your normal day-to-day life without having to take any time off work, and which I've compiled through learning over the course of 19 years, all about remarkable recovery stories in the health world. So my name's Sebastian, and since 2005 I've been reading about all the unlikely stories of people freeing themselves from afflictions that the doctor had said they'd have for life. And in this 4-part series, the first part we're going to learn about proper digestion to reduce chronic inflammation, system inflammation, deeply improve our digestive tract health. In part 2, we're going to empty the liver, dissolve fatty liver, reset the gut microbiome, expel all the excessive fungus, which is antiseptic and competes with bacteria, which in turn bacteria are the producers of our nervous system, endocrine system and immune system's reserves and sacred elixirs, with which it's the difference between health or illness. And a little background on me. My favorite subject in secondary school was biology, and I once managed 98% in a 4.5-hour exam and helped my teacher correct exams, and it's probably what I should have studied in university, but thanks to the fact that I didn't, and I was self-employed as a translator and property manager for a decade, I kept studying on my own time and ventured into the less accepted, and obviously in a decade or so doctors are going to be saying to the public completely transparently most of what I'm saying now, but unfortunately they haven't learned it at this point yet. And obviously the young doctors studying medicine now are very different to the ones who've already been serving in their profession for a few decades. But so the concept of cure coaching, which I had to make a name for, create the name for, is self-healing protocol of 4 weeks in which the person is free to do any combination of more or less 3/4 of my suggestions, and the client pays at the end of the month or after or later, but never before the conclusion, according to their satisfaction. And I do one-to-one coaching as well, but since early 2025 I've been focusing on groups only, and my home community is my main focus, but I'm putting my knowledge and service online as well. If you'd like to see more, I have 2 YouTube channels, Building Inner Gold with a plus sign between the words, Building Inner Gold, and obviously you found Practical Bio-Wellness on my website, which is my professional identity. And during the COVID confinement I stopped translating and managing properties and decided to commit to helping people improve their health drastically in a very short amount of time, such that the improved well-being and real first-hand experience of wellness would be undeniable, and the person would know forever that their health is in their control. I've had many success cases. Recently, in the last year, an elderly man who was taking 25 tablets a day is down to 8 or 10 now, in collaboration with his doctor. I don't interfere with medication. The person themselves and their doctor manage that part of it. I don't sell any product, although occasionally I might suggest a supplement. I mainly work with nutrition, correcting digestion patterns, and getting more sunlight, becoming more physically active, rotation exercises for calcified joints in order to stimulate cartilage regeneration, ligaments, tendons, and yeah. So here goes. As I was saying, part 1 is improving our digestion, learning about food combining. Part 2 is ketogenic reset and antifungal and gut flora cleanse, with endless advantages for the nervous system, because ketogenic diet makes the body run on fats, and that thickens and strengthens our neurons and enriches our hormone and neurotransmitter reserves, as they require fats to be produced. And then in part 3 we do a total vegan 10 days. So part 1 was a week, part 2 is 10 days, and part 3 is another 10 days. And this is the basic fundamental health protocol for pretty much curing or improving your life quality almost entirely, and becoming free of symptoms, and the doctor almost removing the diagnosis of your chronic illness in the space of a month. Sometimes I've needed 6 or 7 or even 8 weeks. An elderly couple with severe joint problems and depression and Parkinson's and high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes. Obviously it took the best part of a summer, almost 2 months. But yeah, this man was taking 3 tablets for diabetes every day and an insulin injection or 2. And we got him down from those 10 or 15 injections a week to 2 or 3 now. Some weeks he only takes 2 even. And his blood sugar tablets a day are now down to 1. And he's got more energy than ever. Because one of the great afflictions of being a diabetic is keeping your blood sugar too low robs you of your energy and your life force, and that quickly affects your mood and your personality development. He's now happier to go out with his wife on Fridays or Saturdays to dancing or out for dinner with friends. He had severe depression, and yeah, the doctor's just been removing all this medication thanks to opening the body. The main goal of my cure coaching method is to open the tissues, disinflame, so that the sponge, so to speak, opens all of its holes all around and its ducts inside, quickly releasing and allowing the evacuation of retained cell waste in the long term. And this in turn results in raising pH, and pH is the electrical charge potential of our tissues and cells. And at the same time, because of reorganizing the diet, we improve metabolism a lot. So the mitochondria are triply happy for a variety of different reasons. And cleansing the liver in the third part, after we've disinflamed and dissolved fatty liver, when we actually detox it in the third part of the month, literally rejuvenates the person on all levels and all planes of well-being, in the physical, mental, emotional, and there's a spiritual rebirth. So, the 3 fundamental pillars of this first week are going to be food combining, the flexitarian or vegan diet. Both are good. Flexitarian is close to veganism, and that you eat meat once a week, fish once a week, a yogurt once a week, a bit of cheese once a week, a glass of milk or 2. And that's if you're happy and healthy and have achieved your desired reality and just want to maintain it. But I really suggest taking veganism instead of flexitarianism as the rule during this 1 month, because it just accelerates detox a lot more. This month it would be completely free of dairy, just for the basic fact that it's acidifying to our system, it's congesting, it produces a whole lot of phlegm. It's fats, proteins and sugars all together in one food. So we should really only eat it with a bit of carrots and crackers, and a bit of bread or biscuits is okay, but it's a very complicated digestion. As are beans, fruit, and yeah, that's the nuts and bolts of food combining. Oh, and the slow carb diet. So the 3 things are food combining, flexitarianism, and slow carbs. So we prioritize 90% potatoes, legumes, lentils, and dark whole grain carbohydrates instead of the light colored fast kerosene energy sources that you really only need on the day of a race or an important sports challenge or match. And yeah, this course makes you aware of the fact that we should only really have 1 blood sugar spike a day, not 2 or 3. And in the long term, it shouldn't even be most days. We should have a day or 2 every week without any blood sugar event. And this makes the pancreas very happy, which is the main exhausted, overworked endocrine gland. which weakens the entire endocrine system and can lead to hormone disruption and all sorts of reproductive disorders in women, which, by the way, half of women before the age of 35 have some reproductive disorder, like a chronic illness already. Whether it's excessive bleeding or cysts, fibroids, myomas, endometriosis, breast lumps, all this is because of an imbalance in the hormone system caused by excess production by the pancreas of insulin, iron deficiency, excess intake of animal products nowadays, which are full of synthetics, pesticides, fungicides, insecticides from the grains, mass-produced, gene-manipulated grains that they're eating. So just finding respect for these extremely dense and rich foods that until a century ago were luxuries, and now we think we have to eat them twice a day. And there's an obsession with protein on top of it all, which makes us very sick. Because protein, even if it's clean, organic, high-quality animal meat or fish, it's already a higher load of nitrogen. Nitrogen is a lot of work for the liver and the kidneys to cleanse the body. And that got us through ice ages and winters, not in the middle of summer, and then on top of it fruit in the same meal. We're disobeying all the basic laws of nature, basically. So the main teaching that I have for all of my clients, students, patients, is food combining. You have to understand that we have two forms of digestion that should take place separately. In 90% of your meals, it should be either or. Just like we cycle a bicycle with one foot at a time, not both. The carbohydrate digestion is very fast. It's just an hour in the stomach, and then it's out in a form of a kind of milky paste, which is absorbed directly into the blood and managed very easily by the pancreas with insulin and withdrawn into the tissues from the blood. And it's not a bad digestion if you do it properly. However, when we mix it with fats and proteins and large volumes of food, and the acidic production, the production of acids in the stomach is neutralized because acids are for digesting fats and proteins, which are the evening meal, not the lunch meal. When this jumbled mess goes into the stomach, it stays for many more hours and carries glucose, starches, all forms of carbohydrates far further down the digestive tract. They're not properly absorbed, they ferment and they rot and feed unwanted bacteria, fungi, and parasites in the digestive tract, causing wounding. It puts your sewage in contact with your blood, it aggravates your nervous system, your immune system, your endocrine system, causes endocrine disruption, basically fogs up your central nervous system. And yeah, so there's endless reasons to food combine properly. It's basically, in Spanish it's called separación de alimentos, separation of food types. So basically, you keep your carbohydrates, sugars and starches and fruit to lunchtime. And in the morning, a bit of water and fruit is ideal, but fasting half of the days is ideal if you're not doing sport, or a lot of sport. We used to eat 3 meals a day because we worked physically with our body all day long, but we don't do that anymore. And yeah, so when you stop eating carbohydrates for dinner in the evenings, and you keep your fats and proteins with fiber, obviously, which goes with both worlds, all vegetables except for potatoes, basically, and sweet potatoes, go with both lunch or dinner. You keep your fats and proteins to the evening and not for lunch. Keep your carbs for lunch and not for dinner. Your body becomes so grateful. And it's a slowly ascending curve. It takes time, but it's compounding. It's exponential benefits that come from respecting the two different types of digestion. Because there's two halves of the year, sunny and dark. There's two halves of the day, night and day. And there's a reason we have seasons. There's a reason every tree takes turns. Look at this little orchard here. There must be 10 or 12 different types of trees, 1 or 2 of each. And almost every month there's a week or 2 weeks where one of the trees is producing in season. So I go for a walk here and I fill my pockets a couple of times every year with walnuts or with plums, a handful of peaches, some kakis, ginjols, are kind of apple-like, small, light, spongy fruit. But anyway, and grenadines. But anyway, so yes, if we can take this very seriously, the basic rules of food combining are: dairy does not mix with meat, fish, or seafood, because dairy neutralizes our stomach acids. And we're talking about the evening meal here now, where the meat, seafood, or fish, or nuts, or seeds, all forms of protein, or fats need strong stomach acids to digest properly and extract the vitamins, minerals, amino acids, the quality nutrition out of that food, which is very dense and slowly produced by nature over time. Fats and proteins, very rich. Luxury. We've lost respect for luxury. The pyramid is inverted, where what should be the crown and the cherry on the cake is being seen as the foundation. And all chronic illnesses are basically caused by the excess consumption of protein, especially animal protein, and refined carbohydrates. The combination of inflammation from the animal products and congestion and mucus production and excessive energy and ruining the metabolism of the cell with kerosene level energy. And by the way, you should know that cereals, grains, seeds can break tarmac. Like, they can have 40 atmospheres of pressure when a bicycle tire only has 2 or 3 atmospheres of pressure. And yeah, they can crack concrete. The point is, one little seed of starch is capable of doing that. Imagine what we're doing to our bodies when we cram ground, pure energy reserves from the seed, discarding the fiber, shell, and the germ, the protein, just pure sugar bomb to our bodies on all levels, in the cellular metabolism and the mitochondria, in our bloodstream, ruining the pancreas, feeding fungi and parasites and unwanted bacteria, causing imbalances in all of our organ systems, basically, because it's energy that is not needed. It's unconsumed energy. It's as if you were pressurizing the tank of your car full with all 4 kinds of fuel at the petrol station every time you went. And like closing the lid after pressurizing the tank, that's how insane we are right now. And it's the result of a century of freedom, a century of uncontrolled individualism, and the servant or the citizen becoming a king, basically. I mean, look at us. We've got 50,000 products in the supermarkets. If you have access to 2 or 3 supermarkets in a 10-minute walk or 5-minute walk, you have an endless number of products, all of which have added sugar, salt, chemicals, glucose extracts from various different grains and cereals. And it's all just a quick instant fix. Like, these products want you loyal. So when they give you a mood lift with a sugar boost, you're much more likely to come back to it, because your memory, your nervous system stores this experience as favorable to survival. But mainly because your body is so stressed and intoxicated and aggravated in its nervous system that it is in survival mode. It's anticipating a winter or a broken leg from which it's going to be hard to survive, and it's telling you, yeah, just keep cramming in the energy, because who knows what the hell is going to happen next if things are this messed up right now. And yeah, I mean, got to remember, there's such a thing as pregnant women, injured people with a broken leg, or somebody who has become very thin and weak and frail. Those are the cases when you want to mix carbohydrates and fats to give them an energy boost and spike their blood sugar and enrich their system and bring them back from the edge of low health. And obviously obesity is no real problem, or I mean, having excess fat reserves for a pregnant woman is ideal. For somebody who can't move in a cold winter, you know, in the cave, having to heal under blankets or something, it would be also ideal to mix fats with starches for that person. But these are the exception, and everyone is behaving like that's the rule, like that's the normal, natural way. So, to summarize food combining, keep your carbs for lunch, or at least separate meal from your fats and proteins, which should be for dinner. The stomach acids produced in the evening for your proteins and fats. Take 3 or 4 hours to digest those foods before it's released from the stomach and digested and absorbed in the rest of your digestive process. And then the pancreas only has to produce a bit of lipase and protease, but not also a whole lot of insulin, because when this is the crux now of food combining. When we fatten our arteries for a few hours with digestive fats, and they're coated and insulated, and blood sugar can't get out of the blood as easily, or with great difficulty, the blood sugar spike is going to be a lot higher. The body goes into emergency, cortisol is produced, and you're in fight or flight practically. The pancreas on top of it, and the endocrine system is already getting taxed and challenged and overheated. Then the pancreas has to produce a far larger amount of insulin to rush emergency mode, get that blood sugar out of the blood, because it can be damaging. Like, high blood sugar spikes damage our nerves, our eyes, and disrupt our endocrine system on the whole, spoil the cell metabolism and the mitochondria. So basically, keep your carbs for lunch, not for dinner, because you'll sleep better if you don't have carbs in the evening as well. And eat your dinner early, because it's an acidic digestion that takes a few hours. So 7 or 8 p.m. at the latest. And then basically keep dairy to a special individual meal on its own, with some fiber and maybe some whole grain crackers or biscuits. Beans are complicated to digest, and it shouldn't be mixed with meats, fish or seafood, or even faster starches like potatoes. They'll give you gas because it's high fiber with a bit of protein, slow digestion, and slower carbs, low glycemic index. And it just takes longer to get out of the stomach, sometimes an hour and a half or 2 hours even. That's the slowest form of carbohydrate meal you can have. And then fruit, either alone with water in the morning or an hour after your lunch, because it's part of the carbohydrate world as it's got sugars. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I always mention Hebrew culture and religion has been saying for 3,000 years we shouldn't eat dairy on the same day as meat, fish or seafood, because it's literally dangerous. Maybe they don't tell you why, but neutralizing your stomach acids could allow a parasite or a dangerous bacterium to get past the stomach alive, and that could be deadly. I mean, or severely affect your life quality, maybe damage your nervous system, and wound your digestive tract. But this also goes for unwanted bacteria and fungi. The stomach acid should be strong in the case of protein and fat meals. And unfortunately, the calcium content of dairy neutralizes that stomach acid. So, when we become more conscious of this, you can even do whole days. You can have a keto day, evening meal style, 2 meals or just 1 meal in the acidic digestion. And then on alternating days, your energy meal and carbohydrates if you're physically active. But I also suggest everyone tries doing a couple of months in a row of 1 week keto followed by 1 week vegan every month. That's the easy, automatic, low effort and investment, and doesn't require any of the theory to just completely change your life quality. Because the reset that both of these diets give your body is deep and just enormously beneficial and rejuvenating. In view of the fact that the keto diet, which is our evening meal, carbohydrate free, declutters the liver when it's done a few days in a row, and then followed by a week of low inflammation, high fiber, highly hydrating and detoxing diet that is the vegan diet. This alternation of the scales up and down just does it achieves a depth of cleansing that you've never had, probably never would have had in your life, and returns you gradually over the course of a few months to your childhood or teenage level of health. And this is the largest blind spot, in my opinion, in the entire health world. Medicine, nutrition, wellness, life quality, fitness even, high performance in sports. They're all ignoring the basic fact that our digestion has 2 gears, two modes. Left foot, right foot, night and day. And like a pendulum, you can't be forcing it back and forth really fast very often, or simultaneously in 2 different directions. It's got to alternate. It has to alternate. There are things in this world where yin and yang are best not combined but kept separate 90% of the time, and occasionally united. And basically, like, think of how perfect it is when you tie a stone to the end of a string, or you just grab a brush, a sweeping brush for the house, and swing it around on top of your head with one wrist. How perfectly that circle swings. Like, you couldn't interfere with that in any way to make it better. Like, you can't stop the brush, move it with your hands, and guide it around in a circle, however calm and still your hands are. But the simple swinging and trusting, and using the arc and the radius of the brush or the string on the stone is perfection itself. And that's why we have to trust nature and recognize that nature has never combined in a single food starches and fats together. Like 99% of foods, you will not find any form of glucose or starch combined with fat. You do find carb and protein in beans, for example, but yeah, and some grains or cereals. But the point is, we have to find respect for the proper digestion, basically. So week 1, I always suggest the person it's the easiest week. You just do these 3 forms of diet simultaneously. Slow carbs only, so only potatoes, legumes, lentils, not white rice, pasta, white bread, and keep it dark and brown and slow glycemic index, slow carb. Flexitarian, so very little animal products, but properly digested in the evening meal, your animal products in the evening meal, and yeah, practicing food combining basically. This is the magical formula for healing, curing, strengthening, elevating life quality in all its dimensions, and it clears up our conscious capacity. Our nervous system and our endocrine system settle, and you recover your mental faculties, because everyone is walking around in a brain fog, hyper-stimulating with information and stimulants and sugar and caffeine and pleasure and relief and excitation, stimulation, relaxation, self-soothing. Everyone's self-medicating because I'm extremely overstimulated and saturated. We are super saturated, and the density of content of our cells is extremely, severely, unsustainably high. And yeah, so I hope that's been more or less understandable. I've tried to repeat everything more than once, and contact me for any doubts or queries you might have. I can share with you the text form description and instructions of each week, and yeah, I'm just happy to put this concise, brief version of the weekly lessons online so that people can just do it on their own time. No need to contact or engage with me or take the course in person or online with me. And yeah, this is really also for friends and family who think they know everything I'm about, because for years I've been trying to explain these things, but who have unconscious mental resistance for the basic fact that they already know me and aren't open and curious automatically. We're all conditioned by the identity we have for each other to filter and unconsciously reject or doubt or underestimate severely who we are. They say you least appreciate what's closest to you and what you take for granted, and you're most interested in open and forgiving and patient and curious and everything in the unknown or what's furthest away from you. And yeah, so I'll be making this course also in other languages, but this is going to be in the English playlist on the Practical Bio-Wellness YouTube channel, and it's dedicated to my family, my siblings, my parents, our uncles and aunties, or de facto uncles and aunties in Ireland and Germany, Anne and Mick, of course, and their daughters and grandchildren in Ireland, and Richard and Janet and Al, of course, and then in Germany, Didi and Brigitte, but I'm making the videos in German for them as well, and soon then Spanish and Catalan. And yeah, if you're interested in less specifically health-focused and more abstract well-being and spiritual growth and alchemy and the esoteric and philosophy and personal growth on the whole, my other YouTube channel, Building Inner Gold, has more frequent posts, smaller videos, and more thought-provoking and alternative, whereas this channel is mainly practical, the intensive course Rebirth Protocol aspect of my business. And thank you again for your time. Wishing everyone a nice autumn and winter, and here I am for anyone who'd like to make a suggestion or a request for a specific video theme. And as always, I wish you positivity, constructive, forward focused mindset, focusing on what we do want, not what we don't want, which makes us positive, plus adding instructive, instead of negative, which is dedicating our attention or memory or imagination to the unwanted, which makes us destructive. It makes us want to eliminate, minus, negative. You don't want something, and the more you dedicate your energy and consciousness to that thing, the more you become destructive, self-destructive as well. The more your habits and possible addictions or dependencies will not improve but get worse, and our pathological repetition compulsions and the growth of our shadow, our unconscious behaviors, things we do and we're not aware of, and the impact we have on the world around us can get more and more positive and beneficial and fulfilling, and radiate gratitude inwards and outwards. The more we are forward focused, constructive, positive, grateful in the present, past, or in advance, and again, only focus on what you do want. Thanks again for your time. Take care. All the best.